You ready to go?
Ready.
Okay, welcome to the ImAssuming podcast. This is Ija Mohan, and today I have, Dr. Jason Leong last.
Hello.
And do you prefer to be called Doctor or Jason?
Normally, I put doctor on my business card so that when people call me doctor, I say, no, it's okay. You can call me Jason. Makes me look humble. But it's all an orchestrated ploy to make me look humble.
So do I, in that sense, do I now have to refer to you as seen on Netflix, Dr. Jason
No lah,
Leong?
let's just say Jason is fine. But please do watch my Netflix special.
I watched it a few times.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. It means a lot. Thank you.
And I think I even tweeted to you, tweeted at you, in the sense that I watch a lot of stand-up comedy, and my wife hates me for it. She hates me for just watching stand-up comedy, and she'll always ask me. She knows I'm watching, right? She look at the screen and she's go like, "Are you watching? Are you watching?"
Okay.
Just so that she can change.
Okay.
But I had your special on, and I found her sitting in a corner giggling away. And I was honestly just waiting for her to give me that same, wife, right?
Yes.
You're married as well, right?
Yes.
So I can predict what she's gonna say, right?
Right.
So I'm like waiting for her to go like, "Are you still watching? Are you watching?"
Yeah.
And she never did.
Nice. Thank
so
you.
that's credit to you.
Thank you very much. Hard-earned praise from a hard critic, of course.
No, in the sense that she's not a fan of comedy, stand-up comedy, and she couldn't. She watched it till the end. She was distracted by my son a little bit. So the next day she actually put on the second half because she wasn't really listening.
Wow.
So you got 2 plays from my house lah.
Yes. Thank you. And that will help increase the Netflix stats. Also, it's very interesting to be, your viewers may not know or listeners may not know, it's interesting to talk about your wife while she's in the next door. She's literally just an arm's throw away. So if she can hear us, thank you for watching my special twice.
I've always found it very fascinating that I discover, or you kind of forgive me for saying like you have made it moment is through when you come on Netflix or something, right? But have you? I know you do a lot of stand-up shows. I've seen some of your shows on YouTube. Sorry, you never monetized that part of that, but
I have now.
Have you come on local TV or Astro, Media Prima, any of the?
Oh yes, actually. The interesting thing about the English stand-up comedy landscape in Malaysia is that TV is not exactly the big break as opposed to in other countries like say in Australia. In Australia, if you get on ABC, that's like a big break for you because somehow or other, everyone in Australia still watches TV. Okay. Like in the Melbourne Comedy Festival, if you get a spot at the gala shows where you'll be shown on ABC, your tour is guaranteed to sell at least 50%. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. TV is very powerful in other markets. In Malaysia, English stand-up comedy, TV is not very powerful. Because when you talk about TV, you're talking about Astro per se. And not every household will have Astro. We have a few shows on Astro, and when I tell people my show is on Astro or whatever, they go like, hey, if no Astro, how? A lot. And so, yes, answering your question, I have been on Astro, both in Malay stand-up comedy, I did once, and also in English stand-up comedy. Shortly after 2018 change of government, we had a show called Sedapnya Mulut. Which was a combination of Malay stand-up and English stand-up. So I did English stand-up for the show, and it was on Astro. I can't remember which channel it was.
Was not Awani?
No. Astro. I want to say Astro Warna or something. Yeah. Sedapnya Mulut. So I have been on Astro, but it's not. Like I said, Astro is fine and all, but it's not the big break as say being on Netflix.
No, I found it very odd. The fact that I would assume you probably were on Astro and all that.
Yes.
And the fact that I don't know whether personally for you that felt like I've made it, I'm on Astro, I'm on TV. Did you feel or did you get people telling you that?
Oh no. Like I said, because Astro is not seen as the benchmark lah. In terms of English stand-up comedy. In other things like in the Malay markets, I'm sure if you get a movie on Astro, you have made it lah. I'm not too sure. But for me, I think one of the early made it moments was when my YouTube video became viral. The one I talk about WhatsApp chat groups.
The office chat groups.
That one it went really viral. I didn't expect that because who knew that offices and what office chat groups around the world operated on the same premise? You know,
dude, that was funny, man.
That was I didn't expect that. And yeah, you'd be surprised that for us in the English stand-up comedy scene, I think YouTube and social media is a lot more powerful than traditional mainstream media.
I feel like maybe right after the elections, I don't know, right before, on your Facebook, you were just, the videos look like you were just posting from home, from your desktop, some videos, and it was more like commentary, like, kind of like a Daily Show feel kind of thing, right? And you're doing it for a while.
Are you talking about the all-day show with no budget?
I think so.
During MCO or
no.
Oh, 2018.
It was
yeah. Oh, okay.
So that one. So what was that? That was just
videos.
Yeah. I remember there was no graphic, no branding. Just you talking, right?
Yes.
And I really felt like we need for lack of a better word, a Daily Show equivalent for Malaysia lah.
Yes.
In fact, I went as far as at that point I knew Kavin and I knew some people in Malaysia. I tried to set up a meeting. I was like, please do something. It didn't happen.
Yes.
And I think a few of you guys are kind of doing like live streams or online shows, right? But is that a direction that you might go? Because you seem to have a lot of commentary on current affairs, right?
Yeah. So the thing is, when you do commentary on current affairs, especially Malaysian current affairs / politics, you will never run out of material. It is just so interesting and funny. Yes, that's something that I really want to do because Stephen Colbert and Jon Stewart, John Oliver, they are my heroes.
Yeah.
How they dissect news, disseminate information, and still be funny is a really tough thing to do, and I look up to them. I've actually attended the live taping of Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert at their old shows before Jon Stewart left the Daily Show, before Stephen Colbert left for the Late Show, when he was doing the Colbert Report.
Yeah.
So you see, the thing is, right after the change of government, 2018, the first change of government, there were some efforts. There were some efforts to do our own version of the Trevor Noah show, or and the thing is, a lot of people don't understand. Even those in production, those in the industry, they don't understand that you need a lot of behind the scenes work to make the show possible.
You mean like writers?
Yeah.
And
even like I give you an example of. So I watched twice Stephen Colbert talking about a day in his life.
Okay.
2 different interviews, but the same question, and he answered the same way. Stephen Colbert starts his day 8:00. He wakes up. First thing he does, he reads like the Drudge Report, the Daily Beast, or whatever, whatever BuzzFeed, to see what is the pulse of the nation in the morning. What may be trending. Okay.
Right.
Then by 9:00, his writers would have written something. Goes to the office at 10, does some legal stuff, whatever. Head writer already like soliciting jokes from all his writers and see if they can fit into the daily schedule. By 12 p.m, he's already meeting the writers and see what's trending, what can be done. Then they have some semblance of a script sent to legal team, the research team, whatever. Then does all this by 5:00. They have a rehearsal. They rehearse everything, and then after that they have a post-mortem of the rehearsal.
Okay.
What didn't work? What? And that he said that is the hardest part of the day because people are fighting for their jokes. The team is fighting.
What gets out?
What gets in, what gets out. Then he said that is the hardest part of the day. Then 6 or 7 starts tape. They go to tape.
Okay.
The taping process, the actual taping, at least for the Colbert Report, half an hour only.
Oh really?
Yeah, half an hour only. Like just a half hour, 40 minutes taping with live audience.
Okay.
After that, they have another post-mortem. Like now we know what works, what didn't work.
Based on audience,
and then what's the game plan for tomorrow.
Okay.
Then he goes back home. He ends his day at 11.
Wow.
So and it's every day. And so that is itself tells you how much work needs to be done to do one episode. Okay, that's one. Oh, and they also have to sync the graphics, the animation, whatever, to be ready within the day. Now the second thing is, the whole taping process is also a marvel because I went into like I said, the live taping. So you have to scan your bags, no weapons. You go in. Immediately there's a guy that will say, hey, thank you so much for coming. We're gonna have a great show today. Later, we need all your energy, all your support, because the mics, we have mics in the studio. What you give us is what you get. We don't add in audio. Okay? So that's so now we enter the studio. Enter the studio. Hi, my name is blah, blah, blah. I'm the stage manager. When I wave my hands, I want you to go cheer, go crazy, go wild. Once again, they reiterate that we don't add audio. What you give is what you get. What you give is what we get, right? So please go crazy, whatever. After the stage manager comes a stand-up comedian to warm up the crowd. Do crowd work, talk to them. Hey, how you doing? Where you from? Make fun of them.
And all this doesn't make it on tape, right?
They just like get the crowd. Okay, so later, so after the stand-up comedian has finished, who, by the way, when I saw him, was Eddie Mercurio. He's an Emmy Award nominated or winning writer for the Jay Leno show. Obviously. So he then introduces Stephen Colbert. So now Stephen Colbert comes on, talks to the crowd. Any questions? Crowd asking questions, he answers. Question, answer. Maybe half an hour, 20 minutes of this. Okay, let's go to tape. So he sits on his desk. Then the stage manager waves the hand and everyone go crazy and wild. Then they start the show. Then they tape. So, and this is the same process for Daily Show, same process for Stephen Colbert Report. So imagine the entire experience was 2 hours. The taping was half an hour.
Wow.
So 1.5 hours was spent to prep the audience. And this is the audience prep, not Stephen Colbert's prep, the audience prep. To be up and running and roaring so that we give all the energy. That is what needs to be done for a show like that. Now, the problem is, the pitfall is, a lot of producers in Malaysia, they see what's on screen and they go, oh, like there's one flare, table, script, camera, can jalan. No.
You write your own jokes lah. Why you need a writer for?
You don't need. Who is the writing team? You are the writing team. Cannot. You need an army. An army of writers to make every joke nice and land properly. So it's very labor intensive. So that's why when I did my the all day show with no budget with Jason Leong, I wrote everything. I recorded myself, edit everything. So writing and editing takes about writing and recording takes about maybe 2 hours. The editing takes 4 to 5 hours. Editing. And the download search for the graphics. It's labor intensive. One whole day is gone for one episode. That's why I can't do every day. That's why
you can't do anything else while
it's
you're
editing.
And then you can't be writing if
Yeah, it's a weekly thing.
No, so, I mean like all the shows that you mentioned, right? Like I'm a fan, so even like watching Conan and all that. So because I'm a fan, I tend to kind of follow all their behind the scenes. And then you realize there's a huge supporting team. You imagine it's just a few people in a room, right? But it's a massive team. And and you realize that, holy shit, if you're going to do that in Malaysia, that's going to cost a lot of money. But I would imagine that, these shows are so popular. I would imagine we would have tried to do something like that.
Yeah, there were some attempts. I think there was one attempt by this company called Maxman TV. I think they have stopped. And again, it's because not enough resources were put into
I didn't realize they did
show.
Like a daily show-ish.
They tried.
I know they were doing a lot of prank videos.
No. They also tried to do this, which didn't work.
And Harit had a show a few years back on Astro.
This was on Astro, called, obviously Harit Skandar. Yeah. That was, I think after one season they stopped.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, so the problem with that Astro Awani thing is, it's hard to be a news-driven comedy show when there are things you can't talk about.
Yeah, and it's like a lot of fluffing the politician.
Yeah, you can't. So you can't do that. Like one of the appeals of shows like all the talk shows that we talk about is that they are allowed to say whatever they want.
Right.
So if your show, you need to have that creative freedom lah.
And how do you feel? So far I would like to think since 2018 we have more leeway. I wouldn't say total freedom. There's more leeway to voice out, but I don't know if that's still the case since we have now kind of flip-flop back and forth.
Yeah,
right?
there's still slightly more freedom than pre-2018, of course.
Okay.
You must remember that pre-2018, if you just say one thing bad about Najib or Rosma, you probably get called. Now, there's a lot more. I think 2018, the G in 2018, it opened up a Pandora's box.
Right.
Of sorts.
Right. Yep.
And the interesting about this Pandora's box is once you open, you can't close it back.
Yeah.
So now, by and large, people are they feel more free to speak up, and once they are comfortable speaking up, it's very hard to shut them up again. And whenever there's attempts to shut people up, people get even more upset.
Yeah.
So it's once you start the ball rolling, it's very hard to stop. So
yeah,
I think there's more freedom now.
Yeah, I would agree with you, but when you say Pandora's box, I really resonate with that because I think it's come to a point where people feel that they literally can say anything, freedom of speech, to the extent of even if it's hate speech, right? They feel they can say it because it's freedom of speech, ma. I can say, right?
Yeah, it depends on hate speech on behalf of whom.
No, in my little taman here, this area, during the MCO and lockdown, people were not allowed out of the house. I think there was a couple of people like still walking in the back alleys and all that. And it happened to be, I think, a white couple or a white guy. So suddenly we were getting, hate messages in the WhatsApp group. We all are very civil people.
Yes.
And this area is generally a
civil.
Older population.
Yes.
Older population. I'm probably the young idiot, right? But man, people's blood was boiling. There was messages like, I want to set my dogs on them, go bite them. Oh, we should send these people back to their country, deport them. You don't know whether they are Malaysian or not, right? You're just making the assumption, right?
Yeah.
So suddenly it's like, I was like, and I went in, I was like, I don't think we can say this kind of things in especially in a WhatsApp group.
That's very good. That's good on you. I think, unfortunately, that's all a mixture of fear, paranoia, and then we are also frustrated that we are locked in.
Hello?
I think we can't stand it when we
we can't go out.
We are the ones who can't go out, but they are very frivolous about it. That's why right now, literally now, people are so upset at how our leaders and ministers are flouting the MCO,
and they are super spreaders now.
Yeah, not following SOPs whilst the people are cooped up at home avoiding all this stuff, and then our leaders who set the SOPs are breaking them themselves. And how that guy, the Minister Taqiyuddin or whatever, he went to Turkey and then came back without quarantine. I mean, come on, man, it's clear cut. Whereas the makcik who just went outside the house, she gets 8 years, whatever, 8 months fine or whatever
It's ridiculous.
It's so obvious.
The double standard is.
That's the thing. The good thing. I say good in inverted commas, but the good thing about this MCO is it makes so clear the double standard. So clear. The double standard, right? Even like right now in America, Donald Trump gets COVID. He gets the super best top class medical care in hospital with top line drugs which are not available to the normal US citizen.
Yeah.
Clear cut.
Yeah.
So clear cut.
And then he's like, oh, COVID. Oh, I understand what COVID is.
I've learned a lot. This guy.
But dude, he's like, bulletproof right now, in the sense that I don't know what can he do for people to stop supporting him. It looks like those who support him will not stop supporting him.
That's the scary thing. I think it's so weird that as a non-US citizen watching from afar, it's obvious to me that by his own ignorance, by his own hand, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of Americans have died.
Yeah.
He didn't directly kill them, but obliquely, with his ignorance and bad handling of the COVID-19 crisis, he has caused a lot of people to die.
Yeah.
I won't say that's the same for Malaysia. I don't think all the deaths due to COVID-19 is a direct result of our ministers. Right?
Yeah.
DG Hisham is doing a good job.
Yeah.
They try their best.
Yeah.
And that's good enough in terms of the SOPs and whatever. Donald Trump didn't do shit. He was so horrendous.
No, but it's weird, right? So you think Donald Trump is an idiot, right? But then, because I follow all these shows, suddenly you see their town halls where people are coming and protesting that, it's you against my liberty to force me to wear a mask. you know, and there are people open carrying AR-15s
Yes,
into
scary,
townhouse saying that,
Yeah.
if I see any of you not wearing, I will...
not just people, white people. if they are black, they would have been shot on sight.
Man, but that is scary, right? That the hypocrisy of the United States,
So scary.
that they've been claimed to be this, we fight for what's right, all men created equal.
Yeah.
And such fucking hypocrisy. I mean,
have you been to New York?
No, I've not been to the US.
So I went to New York in 2014 to do a bunch of gigs. And New York is everything you imagine it to be, this awesome city, capital of the world. And it's juxtaposed by a lot of homeless people on the streets.
Wow.
You would think that the strongest, most powerful, richest country in the world won't have homelessness. But they are. Like littered across New York. Big, like on the same row as the Rockefeller Center, there are people on the streets begging, homeless.
Man,
it's so bad.
It's ridiculous.
Horrendous.
I follow some of the podcasts in the US and all that, like Joe Rogan and all that.
Yeah.
And these guys, like Joe Rogan has left California.
LA.
Yeah,
he left LA to go to Austin, Texas.
Yeah, and he keeps talking about Skid Row and how people are just squatting tents by the side of the road.
10 cities. The 10 cities, yeah.
And I was like, dude, looking at that and looking at how these jokers handle COVID, how they react to it, right? They have no right to call Malaysia or anywhere else third world country. They don't have the right to.
No, like they can. Developing nations? They it's still so bizarre. It's not just the US, like in the UK and in Australia. I don't think they're handling it very well. This so-called
New Zealand did a bit better, lah.
Yeah.
They did better, but
because they have a woman in charge.
I saw that, the countries with all women leaders seem to be performing very well.
Yeah, this so-called first world nations is just horrendous. The way they're dealing with it is horrendous. Which brings me to an interesting point I want to share with you, right? I think I had this conversation with a friend of mine during MCO because he posted. You know Kusu Chang?
Yes,
BFM?
I've heard of him. I don't know him, but I listened to him. Yeah.
So he posted on Facebook saying like, "Hey, does anyone know does anyone have any children in I don't know what Chinese school, Kuan Cheng or whatever?" Because then I asked him why. Because he wants to get his children into Chinese schools when they go into secondary school, I think. So I said, "Hey man, I thought you would be the kind of guy who would send your children to private or international schools." And then he goes, "Pretend like I got no money or whatever." But then he said that, I have lost faith in Western education. Right?
I hear him. Yeah.
Because what he sees is just rubbish coming out from people who are Anglo or Western educated. Like I want to send my children to study in the University of Beijing, Tokyo University, Taiwan University, even the unis in Singapore are all ranked top 10, top 5.
Yeah.
You say that, and then they're going thinking, you know what? That's a really good point.
I agree.
Our generation is the Harvard, Cambridge,
US, UK,
white people, but you think about it, there is some truth to the argument that just because you are Western educated doesn't mean you are better than those who went to NUS, the best universities in Taiwan, Hong Kong, Japan, and I would argue that because there are so few of these universities, it's harder to get in.
No, and when you talk about education, and then I've seen some of these articles and videos about schools. I'm talking like primary schools in Japan, where the kids clean the school and keep the school clean. They don't have cleaner, and I'm like,
great.
Dude, that's fantastic. That's the real skills that kids need to learn, right? Like be responsible.
I live near a Japanese school.
Okay.
And unfortunately, it's a school just for Japanese.
Okay.
Man, I tell you, if they open a school with Japanese education values and staffed by actual Japanese, I would send my child there.
Yeah, I think it's there's for me I've had this conversation And I think it's a very passionate conversation when you talk to friends, especially friends with kids, right?
Okay.
This idea of, I studied in government school growing up, right?
Same.
Right? And so did
Which
my
school?
wife. I studied in Klanajaya.
Oh,
and CPOT. Secondary was CPOT.
That's where I live. So, but I live in Klanjaya.
Okay.
But for some reason, my mom sent me to Bukit Bintang Boys School.
Oh, okay. My mom.
Kampung Tunku, and then Bukit Bintang Boys
I stayed in Kampung Tunku as well. My mom actually, on my school form from primary to secondary, she wrote Bukit Bintang or LaSalle. Without her knowledge, I blancoed it and I put CPOT because all my friends were going to CPOT.
Yeah, the gangster school.
Why do people say that? Why do people? It's actually CPAC. See, I'm starting this now. CPAC is the gangster school.
Oh, not CPOT.
Actually,
no, LaSalle is a gangster school. We should all of us agree that LaSalle is shit.
I don't know anybody who said it when there, so I'm fine. But in the sense that now, when I talk to my friends who went to these government schools, nobody wants to send their kids to government school.
Same. No, neither do I. I just can't. I can't.
And it's not a factor of race.
No,
my Malay friends, my Chinese friends, my Indian friends, all just don't have a preference for government school.
I have the odd friend who sends his or her child to government school, but it's
Bestari kind of.
No, it's the good schools,
okay.
like
the smart school
DJ. Let me check. I'm not hearing anything on my.
Oh, you need to mix it up. Okay, can you hear that?
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yes, the odd TTDI or SMDJ. But other than that, it's Chinese school or private school.
Yeah, I find that very interesting thing. Me and my wife, we have kind of scouted the schools nearby.
How old is your son?
My son is just 2. Right now, 2.
2, okay.
But there's a few good schools nearby here. And I think Sri Petaling or something that's here. I think one of it is a good sports school or something. So I don't know, man. I would want to give government a shot.
Chinese school? What about Chinese school?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, I feel.
I don't come from Chinese school, but I'm thinking.
From an education point of view and from an infrastructure point of view, fantastic.
Okay.
I used to run a restaurant before, so I've done catering events in Chinese schools because they rent out their hall to make money and all that, right? So it feels like a private school. Even the government schools feel very well funded, private school. But my concern, especially the one that I share, I don't share this with my wife because she prefers my kid to go to Chinese school. She prefers, right?
Okay.
So my problem is that I would want my kid to mix with growing up government school, I had friends of all races.
That is the best thing about government school. Especially government school in Klang Valley.
I mean, we were all English speaking buggers and all that, but then you could still speak Malay.
Yep.
And you went to your friend's house. So you felt like, hey, we're together, right?
Yep. That is the best thing about government school for me.
Yeah. So my worry for private as well as Chinese school is that it might be a very different demographic. Yeah. And I have friends, I had cousins who went to international school, right? And suddenly their bubble becomes very exclusive. Their life problems are very different. And I don't have the answer for it, but I think I really would prefer for him to kind of be in a government setting, or at least we will try it and see if it works. Actually, one of my neighbors here, he's the editor for Digital News Asia, Karamjit. So he's actually lives around here. So he is interesting because he has 2 sons. Both were going to private school, and it was getting too expensive, right? So they decided one have to switch to government, right? Because the older one, just 1 year left or something, so it doesn't make sense for him to switch at the last point. So the older boy finishes it off in private, and the younger boy switched to a government school nearby, right? And so I asked him, great, now you have a beautiful control and test. What do you think, government or private, right? And he tells me, government. He can't tell the difference because he's saying that as long as he kind of gets some input and educates them at home in terms of control at home, right?
What government school did the son go to?
It's the one nearby here. I think it's Street Taling or some other. I'm not sure. Yeah, so he's saying that he has no issue. If he could do it again, he'll probably do it and send both to government lah, right?
Okay.
But again, I've also heard horror stories, because a school is only as good as the headmaster lah. So if the headmaster decides to go on a rampage, and we have heard the horror stories of how they prioritize certain things and all that, and then you realize that
the race quota lah, of course.
No, you see, when I studied in school, which I'm assuming we are around the same age.
Yeah, 35.
Yeah, but 35, 36, right? So there was quotas, right?
Yep.
Like, I remember when I studied also, I remember thinking, I don't have to be the smartest guy in the class. I have to be the smartest top 3 Indians. Then I will get in the first class, right? And these freaking Indians are like way smarter than me.
Oh,
so my one of my best friends in school was like a Malay dude. We'll sit next to each other, but we cannot compare. I was like, dude, I don't know whether I'll make it to the for the first class next year, because this lady Indian buggers are there. I kind of grew up on that, and personally it feels fucked up, right? It feels as an individual, it feels fucked up, but from a macro looking at it, trying to be more objective, I understand why it was done. Whether the system has been bastardized and abused,
yes,
it has, right?
Yes.
But it had novel intentions at the start lah, to kind of get a good mix, but I don't know, man. But now you see in private, it's the total opposite, right? Suddenly it's a little bit of I wouldn't say elite lah, but it's a very skewed demographic. And
and not to mention that the cost is so prohibitive, and it's almost a scam.
Yeah, bro.
The way they like $500,000 for
actually, thanks for bringing that up. That is one thing that I wanted to talk to you. Actually, is this whole idea of education, right? Okay, so you're Chinese dude.
Yep.
Became a doctor.
Yep.
Ultimate success story for any family, right?
Not really lah.
And then now that you have discovered now that you've maximized your talent, right? And I'm assuming you're not a practicing doctor anymore.
No, I stopped in 2013, so like 6-7 years, 14, 15, 16, 17, 20, 7 years lah.
Okay,
full time.
So now that you have kind of seen the side of being a doctor, living as a doctor, and now being an entertainer, right, and making a living not being a doctor, right? What is your view on that whole idea of education, and should every kid be studying to be doctor, engineer, lawyer, or because that seems to be the default programming for most parents, right?
Yep. I think it's for our previous generation, and the one thing that I'm very passionate about and I'm very sure about is that the biggest mistake anyone can do in his or her life, especially when they finish their secondary school or whatever, the biggest mistake they can make is to ask or accept career advice from their parents. Because parents are not experts in careers. No one can be. For example, a parent is only at best an expert in his or her own profession. A doctor knows all about the medical industry. That's fine. But when a child is asking what career path I should follow, the doctor parent has no business talking about whether the guy should go into finance or economics or even other stuff, because the doctor doesn't know. He is ignorant of all other professions other than his own.
Right.
So parents are not experts in careers. So don't give advice or burden your child with your own, ideals and hopes and dreams. It's up to the individual to search and find what is suitable for him or her. So, and like I give a simple example. Let's say we roll back 10 years ago. Okay. 10 years ago, if a young kid were to ask you, hey, what career I should go for? I am interested in oil and gas or being a YouTuber. All of us would have said, even me would have said, yeah, do oil and gas. They make them a lot of money. But look at oil and gas now. All time low. They are retrenching. People are losing jobs. And YouTubers are making them a lot of money.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. Gamers, right?
Gamers.
Is a legit way
to make a lot of money.
Serious money, bro.
Yeah. So how could we know? We can't even predict 10 years from now. Yeah. So when someone says, hey, when a parent says, hey, you should be a doctor, engineer, lawyer, because if you know freaking idea what you're talking about. The world is changing too fast for you to predict relatively well what's going to happen 10 to 20 years from now. And you're deciding on your child's life choice. Because once you're set into a career path, it's actually pretty hard to get out of it.
Yeah. And also, I think, Asian parenting also comes to the whole... I didn't pay 3 years of university for you to drop out of college. And, maybe in the Western system, you're, with debt, okay, we also have our PTPTN here and all that.
Yeah.
But then, it's your problem. You screw up, you pay the debt, right? But here, more often than not, parents pay for college and university. And in that sense, they feel they have the right to dictate, because it's my money.
For the ROI.
Right? But having said that, right, the thing that I find very odd, very odd is when you sit down and think about it, right? Anybody, whether it's a, politician or engineer or doctor. I say politician because we can make the most money there, right? In terms of success, right?
Okay.
But whatever your career is, right? Once you have kind of made it, right? With all that success, what do? You start enjoying life, right?
Yes.
But what do you enjoy? You listen to music.
Yes.
You collect art. You watch art. You watch movies.
Yes.
Suddenly you realize the thing that you love most in life is the arts. So to speak, the non-traditional stuff, right? But if your kid came up and said, I want to be a musician or I want to be an actor, you shut them down, right?
Yes.
But the same person who shuts them down and be like, oh, I want to listen to this artist. This is my favorite artist. I need to go pay $300 to listen to the concert or watch the movie, right? So suddenly it's such a weird disconnect, right?
Yep.
Because it's sort of the thing that we value the most. At the same time, we think that, oh, no, you cannot do that.
Yeah. It's the same during MCO where people were like, not interested in funding arts. And then but during the MCO, during the lockdown, they are all watching Netflix.
Yeah.
Where do these Netflix things come from? From art, from the arts. So the problem that you bring up with this is that I think parents inherently don't want their children to pursue the arts because they know that, rightfully so, that most people in arts can't make money, and that's the sad ecosystem that we have created for ourselves. In Malaysia, where it's hard for an artist to make reasonably good money. And if you look at, say in other markets in like Australia, America, or UK, you can being in arts can be quite a stable profession.
Okay.
Here it's very tough. It's very tough to make money.
For yourself, right? Where I see you do a lot of stand-up shows, and again, my assumption is entertainers here have to do a lot of corporate gigs to kind of pay the bills, right?
Yeah, right. Correct. Yes.
And in that sense, knowing what you know now, do you feel, provided you're good and you're talented, not for everybody, right? But provided you're good and talented, do you feel, being a stand-up comedian is a viable ambition for a Malaysian kid?
Yeah. Financially, yes, it can be. But with the caveat that, not really caveat, but if you look at all other types of artistic endeavors, like for example, say a singer, I would say being a singer is quite hard to make decent money in Malaysia, particularly if you're singing in the English medium.
Okay.
Or say if you're an actor. In the English scene, it's going to be very hard. Fortunately for us stand-up comedians, the handful of us who can do corporate gigs and such, we're able to command a fee where we can comfortably sustain our lifestyle. And the good thing about this is stand-up comedy is so new now. It's still in vogue. People want to hire stand-up comedians for their events. And the good thing is, if you're good enough, when you perform at a corporate gig, you will define the corporate gig. For example, like if you I'm pretty sure when I perform for some events, and I go up maybe before a big name or a singer lah, big name singer lah. If I do well, most people will remember that event is that we had the annual dinner where Jason performed, because they'll remember my jokes.
Yeah,
making people laugh is a good way to cement the memory of the night. Yeah, so that there is that.
Okay.
So I am lucky that there are enough companies to go around, and also people still want stand-up comedy. But it's also not just corporate gigs. I also make a concerted effort to make my live shows and live tours financially profitable. Because there's no point for me to burn a hole and then be all depressed. You have to make sure that tickets sell and you make back your money and make a profit.
And no, that's what I wanted to ask you, in the sense that before we started, you mentioned that you were doing shows in the US and in Australia and all that.
Yes.
How do you get somebody to book you in New York, for example? Or do you have to go there and kind of put yourself out there?
Okay, so like the gigs in America is basically you know somebody, and then somebody knows the club owner or the promoter, then they book you for a show lah.
Okay.
So that's currently in that's how it is now. That's how it is all around the world.
Okay.
But in Australia, they have the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. So I put up the money, the registration fee, book the venue, and I perform there, and I take the ticket sales. So I put up a show. I do 22 shows at the Melbourne Comedy Festival, Tuesday to Sunday.
Okay.
For 4 weeks. So it's a everyday struggle and hustle to sell tickets, make sure people know your show, marketing, promotion, advertising, and then you get people come in and you make a profit from there.
So now that I know the Netflix special was taped 2 years ago,
2018.
So how does that work? Why was it taped 2018? Why only released now?
No, I know it's released now because I approached the right people who agreed to buy or license the show.
Okay.
So we tried in 2018 through another party, through the LA office. That didn't happen.
Okay.
Then 2019, I was busy doing 2 tours. I was really busy, no time to think about it. And then 2020, I know a guy at the Netflix office in Singapore. I said, hey, what would it take to get my Netflix? What would it take to get me on Netflix? And he said, we are in a position to license finished content. What do you have anything to show me? And I said, yes. And I showed him the.
So the production cost of that 2018 show was totally on you.
All on me, yes.
Oh crap, man! That looked like a serious production, right?
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. I hope your listeners watch it.
No, legit. Yeah, I cannot tell the difference between that show and a fully funded Netflix special. Seriously.
Thank you. Credit goes to Kube, my producer.
Okay.
Kube, if you're listening to this, Ija has praised you. Ija Mohan. So Kube put in some touches which I never thought of doing so. If you watch the show, you realize that the floor of my stage is reflective and polished.
Okay.
That gives it a lot of depth. When you light the stage, you can see the lights reflected off the ground. It makes it look very nice.
Okay.
I would say it's great that the lay person looks at the special and go, it doesn't look out of place in the whole Netflix landscape of stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
I mean, I would know where the shortcomings are, but
of course, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Every ums and ahs, you'll be like, I should have not done
and
that.
Also the polishedness. Yeah, we and looking back, I think, in the future, knowing what we know now, we can make even better looking specials.
And how has now, so being on Netflix, I'm assuming that your show is not just shown in Malaysia, right? It is across.
Yes. I asked for it to be
across all markets.
Yeah, across all markets.
Do they have to pay more to?
I think they should have, but they didn't.
So
I should have asked for more, actually, now that I think about it. But no, I was really eager for it to be a global release because that's the intention anyway. No
so
point.
that kind of helps you when you want to book a gig.
I'm on Netflix. Watch it. pitch.
Yeah,
it does help. The effects of it, I'm not sure because we are only not even a month old on Netflix.
Okay.
But I'm positive lah that you have some great outcomes.
So I know you have to run. So just to
10 more minutes. Right?
10 more minutes. Okay. So kind of to get a feel of now that you have a Netflix special, is it easier to get local production houses or companies to fund your next project, whatever that project is? I mean, does it become easier? I mean, it's just been a month, but
fund.
I mean, in the sense, if just say you want to, do a show, a daily show, where now
I see what you mean.
No budget. Now you want to do a proper one. Yeah, a proper one.
Yeah. Have to discuss and negotiate like like you sponsor me a set, and what I give you money, or I mention that you're part of the team, something like that lah. I'm sure it can be worked out lah.
But in the sense, right, that just say in the US it's like Comedy Central and all these people who are kind of paying for the shows and all this, right? Who would be the Malaysian equivalent, if not Astro Media Prima, right? Who is there a Malaysian equivalent who can put together something?
I hope so. Whoever's listening, any billionaires on your listener list want to sponsor my show?
I can try and personally message a few millionaires. Maybe they might know some billionaires.
Or you want to sponsor my show? No problem. I hope so. The thing is, I don't know what's the ROI for this billionaire, philanthropist. I don't know what I can give. Maybe you can work something out for sure. But definitely, if whatever funding I get, a big portion will be going into getting a proper writing team. I don't even know if we have enough good writers, but I know a few. I don't know if that's enough to make a good show, but it's definitely worth a try.
What would it take to put together a pilot? What would it take?
Pilot?
To, maybe a couple of episodes to...
Well, I already have the all-day show with no budget, so I can... It's not
okay.
It's not that hard to... The all-day show, no budget, is not that hard to do, but if you want to do proper nice one... If you watch the Last Week Tonight by John Oliver, the set is very simple. Super simple set. What is difficult is the writing and the graphics that come along, and that's it.
But those guys like deep dive research once a week. But their show is like once a week, right? As opposed to the rest of them.
They take one subject, deep dive with it for 20 minutes.
But I was really waiting for those guys to do 1MDB.
Yeah, it's so weird, no? It's so weird. And you know why? I can explain to you why they're not doing it. They're not doing it because their market is primarily American. Americans don't. Why should they care about 1MDB? It's not money out of their country.
Like Hassan Minaj did with the Patriot Act. He did the Goldman Sachs view
part
on
of it,
1MDB,
yes,
right?
Exactly, yeah.
The how Goldman Sachs is thieving bastards and whatnot lah. Of course, I can't say that in a sense, but I was very surprised that John Oliver, because this seems like right up his alley, world's biggest kleptocracy.
Either he had bigger fish to fry, or their market research team realized that no one cares about a scandal in a small country, regardless of the size. Like when MH370 happened, then they all covered it. But when it comes to this kind of stuff, maybe the subject matter is too dry. Bad guys doing bad things. We all have heard about it. So
and
maybe
it's easy to brush away third world country problems.
Yeah, maybe that's the way. Maybe it's not shocking to them because Malaysia. So of course, but for us, we are very interested. And the problem is we are hoping for these big shows to talk about it. When in fact we don't necessarily have to. But kudos to Tom Wright for writing and his Bradley Hope.
The Billion Dollar Whale. Yeah.
Superb. Superb.
Was there a movie out or a documentary?
No. Michelle Yeoh's production company bought the rights to the Billion Dollar Whale.
Okay. Just to kill it? Oh.
No. They just they say no. There's no point killing it because the story of Jolo is now public domain. No one has exclusive right to something that everyone knows. So you can write a movie about Jolo. Just don't call it Billion Dollar Whale. Everyone knows who they are.
So there's no value, but maybe first to.
But because $1 Billion Whales became like a New York Times bestseller. So now when you buy the name, you can make a movie based on the New York Times. It's like got clout lah, so it's more marketable.
Interesting, man. I think there's more that I want to talk to you, but I will have to give you your time. So to speak.
I got another podcast to do.
See, podcasting, right? That's the world.
I can come again, no problem.
Yeah, no worries.
You live nearby.
Nearby. Oh, you're nearby. Okay, we will
PJ,
not
PJ.
Okay, PJ. We will not reveal any.
My location.
Thanks for doing this.
Pleasure, Ija.
I look forward to your next special.
Me too.
And
I'm fun, man.
until I know you think I'm very rich, but I assure you that's an assumption.
So I'm in a very nice studio in a very nice house. It's not a hard assumption to make.
It's my wife's closet.
Nice.
All right. Thanks again. I will talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.